Welcome to Heartbreak Chronicles. I really didn't see this coming, but at least she had some conscience and came right out with me and didn't sneak around and screw around until I found out. I really don't know what to say. Am I angry? Yes. Am I confused? Sure. Am I going to stop her? Absolutely not. Oliver, I'm not being unreasonable. If you feel the need, go to a lawyer. The only thing I ask is that you continue to pay for the kids' college tuition. Other than that, I don't want anything but my clothes and jewelry. I just sat there with the divorce petition in my hand. I didn't even open it to look at it. So what's the point? Sophia has removed her stuff from the house, and I can't believe I didn't even notice. I didn't say anything, but she kept harping on it. She does that when she's nervous. She did her best to appear calm and at ease, but the steady stream of words that flowed from her mouth betrayed her. A small smile spreads across my lips as I stare at the papers. I think she noticed because she was talking faster. As I stood up, I dropped the envelope on the coffee table. That's it, I understand. Bye. At least she finally shut up. She stammered for something to say as I walked toward the kitchen to get a cold beer. But finally my wife turned and walked out the front door for the last time. 10 minutes later, as I was on my second beer, I glanced at the bag of papers she'd left behind. As she said, it's simple and clean. She also included an authorization for me to sell the house. We just took out a second mortgage to pay for college tuition for our two sons, William and Isaac. If you sell your house now, you won't even make back the real estate agent's commission. So what brings a 20-year marriage to a sudden end? An old love. Nathan Wright was her first love. Sophia and Nathan were a stable couple before I met her. She used to talk about him a lot, and some of our mutual friends have talked about him from time to time over the years. I've been ignoring all this. He's just an old boyfriend. What's the big deal? Now I know it's much more than that. I must have been sitting there for a long time because I noticed the room was starting to get darker. When I reached to turn on the lamp, I knocked over 3 empty bottles. Then the doorbell rang. Shit. What now? I muttered to myself. Oliver, I just realized what she did. Ethan said I should come by and see if you're okay. It's Sophia's sister Amelia. I've always liked Amelia. In fact, I like her more than I like Sophia. I must have had too much to drink and my mind is not clear. Ethan is my best friend, and I deserve a kick in the ass for thinking that way about his wife. I shook my head as if my ears were watering, trying in vain to clear my thoughts. Amelia took my arm and led me to the kitchen. I was a little reluctant because she seemed to treat me like I was sick. I don't need any damn help. The fluorescent light stung my eyes, but I just squinted and endured it. How many beers have I had? I was about halfway through my coffee before I realized Amelia hadn't said anything. Feeling better, Oliver? Can we talk now? Give me a minute. I have to go to the bathroom. By the time I returned, she had refilled my cup with more coffee. So, Amelia, tell me about my dear wife and Nathan Wright. When did this all start? Your stupid brother-in-law just found out about it this afternoon. Don't be too hard on yourself, Oliver. I always thought that even after you were married, she still had him on her mind. If only you had told me 20 years ago. Don't be ridiculous. How could I possibly meddle in something like that? I just hope that with time she will forget about him. You two seem to be getting along well. Amelia, the reality is far less than it seems. Now I realize that most of the time our relationship was more platonic than romantic. I've been trying for years, but could never really warm her heart. Flowers, candy, and jewelry don't work. We get along very well. In fact, we rarely fight. Now I understand why. You covered it well. Thank you. Can I have a couple oatmeal cookies from the jar behind you? My stomach is growling. So, sister-in-law, what prompted my wife to abandon me? I don't know if you remember, but Nathan dropped out of high school and joined the Air Force, and right after that you and Sophia started dating. Nathan was Sophia's first love, you know? I nodded and shrugged. A girl never forgets her first love. Anyway, she was really angry when he left. She wants a family and children, and I'm guessing you're the one she's chosen to help her fulfill that wish. I thought she made a good choice. Oliver, I didn't realize she was just using you until he got back. Hell, I don't think she even knew he was coming back herself. Then why is he coming back now? He retired from the Air Force after 20 years of service. Sophia says he has a nice pension and already has a couple of good executive positions waiting for him in the area, ready to start his second career. She sounded really proud when she told me that. She was proud of the illustrious military career he had achieved, as if she were part of it. Honestly, Oliver, that sounds a little morbid. So I guess she's living with him now? He's renting an apartment in Highland, Berkshire, until he can find a suitable house to buy. Sophia has now moved in with him completely. How long has he been back? I'm not sure, but I think it's about 3 weeks or so. He called her as soon as he got to town. That means Oliver the fool has been a turtle for so long. It looks that way. I'm sorry. Amelia tried to pour me coffee again, but I waved my hand and refused. I don't need any more coffee. Now I just want to take a shower and get some sleep. Thanks for coming to see me, Amelia. Lock the door for me when you leave. My sister-in-law looked genuinely sorry for me when I walked out of the room. I'm glad the kids no longer live at home. It would be embarrassing to explain to them what happened. They'll find out eventually, but I hope by then I'll have regained my composure and won't look so pathetic. My career choices aren't ambitious, but I love what I do. I was in charge of the fresh food department of a large supermarket in town. The company has been trying to get me into a managerial position for the past 10 years, but I don't want the long hours and heavy responsibilities. None of this matters now. Early the next morning, I called my regional director and told him I was now ready for a promotion. That afternoon, I was assigned to take over a new store 10 miles from home. I had 3 days of training in Baltimore and then started my new job. In my free time, I notified the kids of the marriage, listed the house for sale, and rearranged all credit cards and bank accounts. Sophia's car is registered in her name, but the insurance is under my policy. Opening a new store requires a significant investment of my time. I don't mind because it leaves me no time to think about my personal problems. The company has streamlined the process so well that most of the difficulties I encountered were easily resolved. The company arranged for several professional openers to work with us for the first 2 weeks, which helped a lot. They are responsible for training most of the new store employees. Half of the staff are experienced and transferred from other stores in the area. I am confident in the job and in my own abilities. Soon everything settled down and ran smoothly, so I have time to start organizing my personal affairs. Since I was planning on renting a small apartment near the store, I started to get rid of all the stuff in the house that I no longer needed. Most of them I just give away. There are several organizations in the area that are willing to take almost anything I'm willing to part with. Of course, the first thing to be dealt with was the marital bed. I felt an inexplicable satisfaction when I got rid of my wedding and family photos. I only kept a small selection of photos of the kids. Ethan called and insisted that I come to his house next Sunday for a barbecue. He assured me Sophia wouldn't be there. He also wanted to update me on Nathan Wright, a local war hero. That's not even a barbecue. Ethan and Amelia's 2 teenage daughters made an appearance but quickly disappeared. It's basically a chance for Ethan and I to talk. Amelia spent most of her time getting us cold beers and cleaning up Ethan's cooking mess. Well, Ethan, what do you think of Mr.? What does Wright know? Oliver, all I know is what he's been preaching around the halls of the veterans of foreign wars. Cameron and Sophia come a couple times a week. He's always bragging about himself and shaking hands with people. Those guys seem to eat it up, but I think they're just interested in fresh blood. Hell, most of the people who come there are over 60. And what was my dear wife doing while he was bragging? Sophia usually just stands next to him and smiles. She seemed proud to be with him. Humph. She never acts like that when we go out together. Damn it, Oliver. It's not like you're some big war hero. Ethan couldn't help but laugh when he said that, but I didn't find it funny at all. Oliver, he was wearing a baseball cap with the Major's insignia embroidered on the front. He even put a gold oak leaf badge on the front of his car. He did everything he could to make sure everyone knew he was an officer. Something doesn't feel right about Major Wright. I had just finished a beer when Amelia brought 2 new ones. Ethan, Nathan didn't even graduate from high school. How did he get to be an officer? If I remember correctly, they canceled that old Mustang program years ago. Now to get a rank, you have to have a college degree. How can that asshole get a college degree when he can't even get a high school diploma? That's right. I don't know the answer either. Did he really join the Veterans of Foreign Wars? Yes, he joined the first week back. Can you get a copy of his membership application? No problem, why? I'm just trying to verify something. I'll get it for you next week. Just then, Amelia came out and told us to change the subject to something lighter so she could participate as well. I don't remember what we ended up talking about, but a couple hours later I went home with a wry smile on my face. The following week started out pretty well. The divorce papers are already being processed. I had 3 people seriously considering buying my house, and the realtor was optimistic. Things are going well at work until Thursday. When I arrived, she was waiting for me in my office. Maria Sanchez is the supervisor of my midnight to 8 a.m. inventory team. Maria was transferred and promoted to this new store from another store in town. All I know about her is that she is a hard worker, and everyone agrees that she deserves this promotion and raise. If I lose Maria, I'll have a little problem I don't want to deal with. Finding people to work in the early hours of the morning is difficult, and finding good employees is even harder. I hope you're not here to complain about anything, Mrs. Sanchez. She smiled, but looked a little nervous. Not exactly a complaint, Mr. Templeton, but I need some help. Go ahead. I'll do my best. I have 2 sons, aged 15 and 16. They all have part-time jobs after school. They have to catch the school bus at 7 a.m. every morning, but some days it is hard for them to get up. They're not lazy, they're just tired. I didn't get home till after 8 o'clock, and they were still in bed. I need to wake them up in the morning, you know what I mean? You want a raise so they don't have to work? No, not at all. They work to make college funds. They're doing well in school, but I have to make sure they go to school. And what do you expect me to do? Help. I find it interesting that she didn't complain. Here's a stern woman, managing a strict team, but having problems with her own children. I snickered a bit at the situation and was rewarded with a stern response. It's not funny, Mr. Templeton. If you can't figure out how to help me, I'll have to find another job. Mrs. Sanchez, this is very interesting indeed. You manage a group of people at night who would slack off if they had the chance, but they don't dare because they're working for you, and you won't tolerate that behavior. But you let 2 little boys take advantage of you. Where was their father when all this was going on? I really pissed her off. She started to stand up, anger burning in her eyes. For a second, I was afraid I might lose her. You're an arrogant bastard, Mr. Templeton. Everyone said you were smart and fair, but it seems they were wrong. I didn't come here to be insulted. Calm down, sit down. I have a possible solution. She sat down again, but didn't look too happy about it. I'm going to change your hours. You'll be working from 11 p.m. This gives you time to prepare your inventory list before the night crew arrives at 12 p.m. You will work until 6:30 a.m. when the first day shift supervisor arrives and takes over the last part of your shift. You can be home in time to get the kids to school and maybe even make them breakfast. That's fine, except for one small problem. I need at least 38 scheduled hours to keep my health insurance. I can't afford to lose my insurance. She's right, but I'm not finished. Mrs. Sanchez, do you go to church? Damn, you're doing it again. You're really good at pissing people off. What do my church attendance habits have to do with my job? You're grumpy, Mrs. Sanchez. I want you to stay calm until I'm finished. And don't call me Mrs. Sanchez. I'm not married. I'm guessing you had some mean comments about that too? I'm starting to get annoyed with this woman. I sighed and leaned back in my chair, only to suddenly fall backwards. For a while, I just looked up at the ceiling. I was surprised to find how cheap the light fixtures looked. I heard her laugh softly from over the table. Her hand covered her mouth, trying to hide a smile. I'm sorry. I was embarrassed by my clumsiness, and she thought it was funny. I'm having a hard time keeping my composure and sitting down again. If I can't call you Mrs. Sanchez, what should I call you? Maria. Just Maria. Maria. I have 2 supervisors, both Southern Baptists. Neither one of them wants to work on Sunday mornings, so I always have to do it myself. I want you to work from 6 a.m. to noon on Sundays. That way you get extra hours of work. But it doesn't matter. It's important to me. You're overpaying for family plan health insurance, right? Yes, $80 a month, and my 2 sons are covered. Maria, I'm going to pay your salary. This means that your children are automatically covered by your insurance. It also means you'll get another small raise. It also means that I will no longer be eligible for overtime pay, right? Yes. She was silent for a moment. She's a striking woman. Her hair was dark, but not pure black. However, her eyes were as black as coal. She doesn't look flabby at all. In fact, she looks a little thin. I was trying to determine what kind of body she was hiding under her overalls when she responded. Okay, I'll take it, but I know nothing about being a supervisor during the day. I've never had to deal with customers before. Don't worry, I'll work the first 4 shifts with you. There's no way you can screw this up. That's how my relationship with Maria Sanchez began. To say the relationship was stressful is an understatement. At the time, I never thought it would get serious. I thought she'd only stay 6 hours on Sunday morning, but we ended up working through that night. She insisted on knowing everything she would be responsible for. I had nothing better to do, and I enjoyed my time with her. There was a small article in Sunday's paper about a fundraiser for the local American Legion chapter. Nathan Wright, in full uniform, stood next to my dear wife and took a picture. I can honestly say I've never seen her look so proud. You'd think she'd won those damn medals herself. I didn't get in touch with Ethan until Monday night. Amelia called me at work and insisted I come over for spaghetti. How could I refuse? Ethan has a copy of Nathan's application to join the Veterans of Foreign Wars and a copy of his discharge papers. I told him about the picture in the Sunday paper, and he promised to get me the American Legion branch form as well. Amelia hears at the salon that Nathan has applied to join the Liberty Key Country Club. Linda and I tried to join, but were turned down. I didn't care, but Linda was depressed. Amelia said it looks like Nathan's application is basically pre-approved. The following week was slow going. I found a small apartment and usually go there straight after work and drink at least 3 beers, sometimes more. The rent includes basic cable, so I'm not totally bored. I'll have an internet connection next week. The week ended on an exciting note. I found on my desk an invitation to dinner from Maria and her 2 sons. I already had her address and phone number, but she gave it to me again. It felt a little awkward and could easily be interpreted as a violation of company policy. Just in case, I called my boss in Baltimore and explained the situation. With his blessing, I feel much better about the whole situation. I bought a bottle of wine to take with me, but I didn't know what to bring the boys. I was a little anxious about meeting Maria's sons, but once they realized I had 2 sons who were already in college, the evening was much better. Maria found herself excluded from most of the conversation. I tried to pull her in a couple times, but she finally just made a face at me, as if to say I didn't have to worry. She seemed happy that I was getting along with Armin and Martin. The night was over so fast, we didn't even have time to open the bottle. That Sunday, when Maria started her first real shift as a supervisor, I spent about 2 hours with her. I get the feeling she's anxious to see me go so she can work on her own. As far as I'm concerned, it's a good sign. She promised to call me if she had any questions. She also invited me to dinner that night. Armin and Martin mysteriously disappeared after dinner, leaving Maria and me. I helped her clear the plates for dinner, and we finally opened the bottle of wine. At first, the conversation was a little awkward. With the exception of Friday dinners, everything between Maria and I was strictly professional. When I explained to her that our relationship could cause problems, she looked a little frustrated, but quickly mentioned that she believed it was a small problem that I would easily solve. Although I didn't mention it, Maria must have felt the need to explain her marital status. She used to live with the boy's father in Tucson, and one day he just disappeared. She stayed there for another 3 years, but he never came back. Her brother, a bricklayer in the Philadelphia area, convinced her to move in with his family. She eventually got her own place and has been working ever since to create a better life for her children. She's never been married. By the time I'd finished telling the story of my tragic marriage, the bottle was empty. Despite the terrible subject matter of the conversation, I enjoyed my time with Maria. We stretched the evening out, so alcohol consumption wasn't a problem. When it was time for me to drive home, everything was fine. For the next few days, everything was normal, both in work and in private life. Ethan came to see me one night with information about the American Legion branch. We had a few beers, trying to figure out what to do now that we had all the background information. A few beers turned into too many beers, and Amelia ended up having to pick up her drunken husband. The next morning I was late, but no one complained because I was the boss and I was usually early. Friday morning brought another surprise. Three of the company's vice presidents showed up. They made a superficial tour of the store, but the whole thing seemed a bit contrived. When we broke for lunch, everything became clearer. Apparently, there's a serious shortage of supermarket managers, at least for me. Before the meal was over, I was offered a position as a regional supervisor in charge of 6 stores within a 30-mile radius. The paycheck and benefits that came with it were more than I could have imagined. Of course, I accept. My second-in-command was happy, too, when I handed over the whole operation to him. I left only one request: don't interfere with Maria. He winked at me and smiled, signaling that we were on the same page. Maria was naturally upset that I had left the store, but pleased with my promotion. I took her out for a nice dinner, and I guess you could say it was our first real date. The boys were happy to give us a night alone. It was also the first time I saw her well-dressed. She's a real beauty. When I told her I would still be working and living in the neighborhood, she seemed to take my promotion much better. On the other hand, she wasn't happy when she heard I had to go to Baltimore for 2 weeks of training. I had lunch with Ethan and Amelia on Sunday. We celebrated my good fortune, and I tried not to drink. I planned to drive to Maryland that night, so I would be ready for my first day of training. Ethan wants to know what I'm going to do about Nathan and Sophia. I told him that this would have to wait until I had completed my training and was settled in my new position. Maria and I talk on the phone every day, sometimes twice a day. I feel like a teenager. She asked me all about the training, and I asked her to tell me everything that was happening on her end. I always ask about the boys. She seemed to appreciate me showing interest in them. My new job has brought with it some responsibilities I didn't anticipate. It's important to get involved in your community. I was expected to join as many civic and social organizations as possible, including the local country club. I couldn't help but laugh when I was told that my position with the company would ensure that I would be accepted wherever I applied. Life is good. I went home that first weekend and saw Maria twice. I got my first kiss, but felt a little uncomfortable because I was still technically married. She questioned my uncertainty about the kiss and teased me a bit about my explanation. She's teasing me, and I think she's enjoying it. I know I'm enjoying it too. The company rented a small office in a local business complex and had it fully set up, including a secretary. They've done this before and done it well. I'm ready to start full operations on day one. On my desk, among other things, was my application to join the Liberty Key Country Club. I just need to sign in and pick up my membership card. I decided that would be the first thing I would deal with. I was wearing a new suit and driving my new company car. When I walked into the clubhouse with my head held high, everything was perfect until I saw Sophia. She was standing with a couple of other ladies in a cute tennis outfit. I didn't even know she played tennis. Suddenly, the feelings of hurt and humiliation from what she had done to me came flooding back. I lost my high spirits and confidence. I tried to walk past the group unobtrusively. Everything was going well until I heard one of the ladies say, "Isn't that your husband who just walked in?" I didn't turn around. As I handed my application form to the receptionist, I heard some murmuring behind me. He disappeared into the back room while I stood there waiting, knowing something unpleasant was about to happen. I wish I could come up with a clever response, but my mind is blank. "Oliver, what are you doing here? This place is for members only. You're not thinking of applying for membership again, are you?" I really wanted to humiliate her in front of her new friends, but I couldn't. "Hello, Sophia. You look good. Nice outfit. Is it new? I didn't know you played tennis." I'm babbling. I'm trying to be smart and funny, but I can't. This string of stupid statements is a good indication of how nervous I am. That in itself is embarrassing. "I'm in class, Oliver. I always wanted to play tennis, but we never had the money." All I could do was laugh. "You really shouldn't be here, Oliver. This is very uncomfortable for me. This place is for members only, you know." I was still laughing when the receptionist returned to the counter. "Here you are, Mr. Templeton. This is a copy of your membership card, locker key, and club rules and regulations. Welcome to the Liberty Key Country Club, sir." I silently nodded my thanks to him and turned around, ready to leave. Sophia stands there with a confused look on her face. I grinned and walked out of the clubhouse without saying anything. I was tempted to turn around and see what she was doing as I walked out the door, but I resisted. I laughed all the way back to the office. That night, I took Maria to dinner at Red Lobster. I hadn't intended to show off, but I took great pleasure in telling her about my encounter with Sophia earlier in the day. We didn't drink because my guest had to be at work at 11. We made a couple of little jokes about the situation. Maria promised to meet me for lunch at the club on Sunday after work. I find myself wishing we'd met Nathan and Sophia. All is well for the rest of the week until Friday. Helen, my new secretary, now aware of my marital problems, was laughing when I walked into the office. On my desk sits the local newspaper, and on the front page is a picture of Nathan Wright handcuffed and stuffed into a plain black sedan. Nathan didn't realize that the American Legion branch checks their applicants to make sure there are no undeserving veterans mixed in. He did retire from the Air Force, but as a technical sergeant, not a major. The fact that he wears medals he never earned will get him into more trouble. They call it misappropriation of honor, and it's not to be taken lightly. I have a strange feeling that Nathan Wright will soon lose face in his own hometown. Helen brought me a cup of coffee and told me I could laugh. It did bring a smile to my face. About an hour later, I got a call from my realtor informing me that the house had sold. Closing is in 2 weeks. Just when I thought things couldn't get any better, my final divorce papers arrived in the mail. Good old Nathan used some of his new friends' connections to get the paperwork moving forward faster than normal. I don't think they're still friends now. The day and the week ended on a good note. Ethan stopped by to check out my new office, but what he really wanted was to tell me that Sophia had moved in with him and Amelia. He hadn't been home yet, so he only knew the information Amelia had called him with. He wasn't happy about having a new tenant, but he was very happy about what happened. Ethan didn't say no to me taking him to a local bar to celebrate when I treated him. Before I left work to go to the bar, I called Maria to tell her all the good news. I think she's as happy as I am. Ethan came to wake me up on Saturday. He has more control over his drinking than I do. We went to Shoney's for a breakfast buffet and some much-needed coffee. Over dinner, I got an update on my ex-wife's situation. Her car was repossessed. It seems that Nathan is happy to pay for Sophia, but the checks are all blanks. She didn't know about it until they came to collect the car. Apparently, he handles everything else the same way. I don't know how long he thought he could hide it, but he sure fooled a lot of people before he got caught. Amelia tells Sophia she can only stay for a week and no more. Sophia doesn't know where she's going or what to do. What little money she took with her when she left the marriage seems to have disappeared. By this time, Maria is asleep, but Armin and Martin are ready and willing to try the Liberty Key golf course. When we got home, Maria was already up and she harshly criticized us for not taking her with us. We ordered pizza and watched a pay-per-view movie. Yes, life is good. Maria and I had a lovely brunch at the country club on Sunday morning. I was hoping to show off Maria in front of Sophia and Nathan, but they didn't show up. There were a few people looking our way and I noticed people commenting, but overall, everything was great. This is the first of many brunches to come. Sophia moved out of Ethan and Amelia's house and into a small furnished apartment before the week was out. Amelia and Sophia keep in touch, but they are not as close as they used to be, even though they are sisters. Robert and William came home for the wedding 3 months after we were married. They kindly made fun of the fact that I had to go out and find 2 new lads to replace them. The 4 boys get along very well, which makes Maria and I very happy. Robert and William never mentioned Sophia. I didn't deliberately avoid talking about her, but there never seemed to be the right time. I don't know if they visited her before going back to school. Ethan was my best man, but he was more of a witness as it was just a civil ceremony. Maria stopped working before the wedding. I insisted that Armin and Martin resign, as well so they could focus on their studies. None of them complained. Even though I didn't make any money on the sale of my old house, I was able to buy a new house without any problems. 2 months after our wedding, Maria and I saw Sophia while shopping at Target. She works the customer service counter at the front of the store and wears a Target uniform, khaki pants, and a red shirt. It looks as if she's lost weight. She looks up and notices Maria and I looking at her. We watched her turn and walk into the office behind the counter. We're not trying to humiliate her. She'd been through enough. Maria and I left the store, and we've been shopping elsewhere ever since. Nathan Wright disappeared after his arrest and charges. After they took him away, we never heard anything more about him. Robert and William returned to their new house for Christmas. The big surprise of the holiday was Sophia's arrival. Maria invited her, but didn't tell me. Things were awkward for a few minutes at first. At first I was annoyed, but then I realized it was a very classy and bold move on Maria's part. This confrontation is necessary for all of us, in order to get relief. I will never forgive Sophia for what she did, but just knowing that she realizes what she lost makes me feel better. That's the end of today's story. For more captivating tales, hit subscribe and never miss an episode.